Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live, coming to you from the corner of Walk and Don't Walk. With me, as always, I have Shawn Slaght over at Moose Jaw. Shawn, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
Good. Nice shirt. I like that. Makes me feel a warmer weather.
Yeah, I know.
It's a little cooler around here. And down below, we have Muffler Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. Well, week 2's in the books. We got ALL week 1 in there as well. And we have a whole bunch of news and clarifications and all kinds of fun things from the NLL and a few milestones and a few other things in there. But before we get rolling, as always, just a reminder to everybody that all of our shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, also Twitch. Remember, hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. Please enjoy all of our affiliates across the Streampunk Entertainment Network. If you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the shows on YouTube, whether it be at Streampunk Sports, Streampunk Cinema, Streampunk Combat, or, of course, at All Across all the time, in which you will be able to find retro games, interviews, our library of shows, and a bunch of other things like press conferences, fights, and a few other things as well. More coming all the time. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting streampunkentertainment.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. Also, a reminder that our show is brought to you by 60. More than just a number, 60 is Canada's newest and most exciting sports uniform and teamwear brand, delivering top quality uniforms and teamwear that reflects the spirit and identity of each team. Their commitment to innovation and excellence sets them apart, ensuring that every customer experiences the perfect blend of style and functionality. Unleash your greatness with 60. Remember to add Lax Talk 10 to every order for a 10% discount on your order. How do you get to them? A, you can go to the QR code in the center of your screen. B, you can go to Instagram, and that is at sweet_60, and message Jim from there. You can message him directly on an email at info.sweet60@gmail.com, or go directly to their website at www.sweet60.ca/60. And again, Jim's more than happy to work with any and all of your ideas and get you a good price and decent quality. All right, a few things to discuss right away. Right off the hop, the St. Catharines Athletics have made a little bit of news. Paul Day and Sean Allen will be back as GMs. Both men come with great experience on the floor and on the bench and behind the scenes. Is very excited for them and for the organization. And a great move, I think, for St. Catharines. Now, we had talked about the rarity of seeing a goalie serve a penalty. Now, there's been a lot of banter all week, back and forth with refs, players, pundits, everything, going back and forth and trying to figure it out. And we could go so far back as around 2002, 2003. There was a rule on the book that said that the goalie would serve his own penalty. However, that rule is no longer on the books. And even so much as last year, there were 2 goalie major penalties, one to Dobson and one to Landon Kells, in which neither of them served their own penalty. The rule book didn't change over the year to this year, which then, of course, had us all scratching our head. Well, the league gave clarification and, rule clarification during the Georgia-Buffalo game this past Saturday, a week ago. After Georgia goaltender Brett Dobson was assessed a major penalty, he should not have personally served the penalty and should have remained eligible to continue to play his position. Pursuant to league procedures, Georgia's in-home player should have served the major penalty in Dobson's place. Now, that's all fine and good, but if I remember correctly, it was a 1-goal game when that happened. And after the penalty was up, while Shanahan was still in net, we had that Follies in which Nanico got a goal on Shanahan. And I'm thinking, would that have gone in if Dobson was still in the net? And I'm thinking, no. So that now made it a 2-goal game and momentum to Buffalo. So I think there's a little bit more to that. If I were Georgia, I would be looking a little further into that because, fair is fair, right? That changed the momentum and could very well have changed the outcome of a very close game.
Absolutely, because it's not just the Nanticoke goal. It's the face-off that wouldn't have happened after that. The Ian McKay goal 40 seconds later that now puts him up 3 going into the fourth. When had Dobson been in net and that penalty got killed, that gaff doesn't happen. Maybe Georgia scores on their possession, and now we're tied going into the fourth. So all the people saying it didn't matter because they killed the penalty, yeah, it absolutely mattered.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I was right in the middle of that 4-goal run. I mean, you stop it at 2 goals, it's a completely different ball game.
I agree with both of you guys. I just, I just don't understand the thinking at the moment where we're cutting edge all of a sudden, and that doesn't really make any sense to me, especially when you're kind of trying to get everything in line, and that doesn't work very well.
Well, that's just my thing is like, from my understanding, and yes, I mean, it mentions about league procedures, but if you actually dig into the rule book, it very much specifies what happens on a 2-minute minor, and it very much specifies what happens on a game misconduct. But then it doesn't really mention anything about goaltenders when it comes to a 5-minute major. So if you're really unsure about what the league policy is and you go to the rule book, there's very much a gray area where you don't really know. I think they need to kind of go back to the rule book and kind of bridge that gap and where it's missing.
I agree. All right, let's go further. Austin Stotts is in the news again, and I have a theory that I was talking with Shawn with afterwards. First off, we know that he was reinstated a couple of weeks ago, and San Diego came out with this the other day, and that was an official statement from the Seals. They have announced that they have relinquished the rights to Stotts. Now, just yesterday, the league has come out with this statement. The National Lacrosse League has placed Austin Stotts on investigative leave while it determines whether Stotts committed a violation of league rules in connection with off-floor conduct. Stotts will be ineligible to participate in league games until further notice. He must have whiplash from all the back and forth of the league. That's 2 things the league has done recently to make you go, huh? Now, here's a theory, and I don't know how correct it is, and I'm just kind of throwing darts here, but it might make sense to some of you. Did he have to be eligible in order for San Diego to relinquish his rights? And once they did relinquish his rights, then the league made him non-eligible again. How does that go for a theory, Mike?
I could see that being plausible. I would also hope that there's a mechanism in the players' union, though, for Stotts to kind of appeal.
I agree too. I don't understand.
But that could be, that could be pending the results of, the investigation. I mean,
they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have made
to
him
our
eligible.
knowledge, we haven't heard anything about any verdicts or anything about court dates or anything about his case or
new charges or anything else. Nothing has been said. Go ahead, Shawn.
I was going to say, Mike, I think you make a very good point, and because remember he was on indefinite suspension, and now he's on investigative leave. I'm wondering if maybe the union at some point also stepped in and said, "Whoa, like you can't suspend him without looking into the matter. Like you have to put him on leave first."
Yeah.
It's just a technicality thing, right? And I think it might be a little column A and a little column B, because I think Gary's theory, like Mike says, very much plausible as well, that that he can't be released until he's eligible again. And San Diego doesn't like that.
Let's play devil's advocate that there was some team out there that wanted him and picked him up when he was eligible, and now he's not. And then what happens there? You left yourself open.
Don't teams technically have an ineligible list? or some sort of list?
I don't
that
believe they have an
can-
ineligible list because then they're not part of the team. That's why San Diego had to release or relinquish their rights to him. You have a physically unable to perform. You have a holdout list. You have I don't believe you have a list that says that you are, he's not part of it.
So let me ask, and this is, I know we're thin ice here, but do either of you think the league asked the SEALs to relinquish the rights so
Actually,
that they could do this?
I think it's the other way
That's
around. I think the SEALs asked the league to reinstate so they can relinquish, and then do what they're going to do. I think it's the other way around.
Okay.
Okay, because I was just gonna say, like, there's a point there too. Maybe we put the cart before the horse a little bit, and San Diego kind of came out and said something that's saying, "Hey, we're relinquishing," before, NLL had a chance to put out their statement saying, "Hey, like,
that
he's
was
actually
my
ineligible."
whole
right?
premise of the comment before, is that did they have to reinstate him so that they could relinquish, and then once he is, they could put him back off again to make sure that he's not in, that some other team doesn't sign him, though they waited a few weeks. But then again, San Diego didn't release him technically until a couple of days ago.
Yeah, because that's the other thing I scratched my head, I guess, is like, why now? Like, why? Because we know he's been suspended for a good year.
You think
now?
some of it had to do with the CBA not being there, and they had to wait, and then with all the free agency and training camps, and then it just wasn't a priority until now when everything is rolling, and then they can do this, and in conjunction with the league, reinstate him, release him, then put him on investigative leave and put him out again. And obviously they would be in contact with Stotts as well, so that he knew what was going on beforehand. So none of this
I was going to say, and have all that be in line with the new CBA.
I would assume that they would have gone through with the Players Association in conjunction with them and what they're doing, and all the legal T's were crossed and I's were dotted before they did that, because you're talking about a very, very thin line to be whether it's legal or not. And I think they had to work in conjunction on both sides with both team, league, and Players Associations, all three sides, and so that it stays kosher, if you will.
And just going back to what you're talking about, Gary, with, say a team does have interest, I'm just almost wondering if when it was known that his rights were going to be relinquished by the SEALs, it was almost, we know talk happens behind the scenes. Let's not sugarcoat it. That the league kind of went around to the teams and said, "Hey, listen, like, once he's relinquished, he's going to go make all the teams aware that once he's relinquished, he's going to be ineligible, so that no teams are going to do that and come out and say, "Hey, I want him."
Well, we kind of looked anyways, and a U.S. team would be foolish because if he's convicted of it, he can't travel to the U.S. And then it leaves you Canadian teams, and we looked at the Canadian teams, and I didn't see a Canadian team that would have the use of his services. And if they did, would they really want the drama that came with it and the baggage that came with it? So many good players that are not on teams that are competing at the ALL level now, waiting for a spot. So it's the old adage that once you're out, it's tough to get back, because there's so many people waiting for that spot, especially now when we have so many players and not enough places on teams for them as of yet. So I think that's an interesting little thing. But as the NLL has done, it is going to keep us abreast of everything. Stay tuned. This is far from over. So there's going to be a lot more news coming, I'm sure, as things play out. So we'll just wait for that. And, that's the only thing I can see, though, is that it had to be in conjunction with everybody. And the reasoning being in order to relinquish, he had to be active. So, that makes sense. stick with that. We had a couple of milestones this week. Number one, we had Clark Peterson with 400 career points early on in the game Friday night. And the big one is, and we'll get into this in a little bit, Warren Hill. He is now one of 3 goalies to only allow 2 goals in a game, being Matt Vince and Bob Watson, the other 2. Good company. Wow. Last year we're worried about whether he's going to get a starting job. This year he comes up with a performance and stones Oshawa to the tune of 2 goals. And it wasn't an easy night. There were outside shots, sure. But some of the saves that he made in that game, he was just out of his mind with the saves. So, he earned every bit of that accolade.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Without further ado, I want to bring Pat in and get his take on what's going on. Pat? Pat's eating a banana because Philadelphia. It'll be Crow next week. I'm sorry.
I've already done that for 2 years. You might as well keep eating it.
Well, Thanksgiving was last week. You had 1 bird. We'll have another bird next week. So
Yeah. Hey, listen.
this one won't be as tasty, I don't think.
No. It's going to be tough, especially when I'm excited for the season. Get started right around the corner. I have no expectations for this team as we head in. I think that they're going to be a bottom feeder team. However, I'm watching the 76ers and Philadelphia Flyers, and the reality is not meeting the paper. I thought those 2 were going to be bottom feeders as well, and they're not. So maybe Paul Day will have something in store that I don't see coming. There's going to be no pressure on the wings. And when you have no pressure, as they said in Creed 1, you're the most dangerous animal walking in. Mm-hmm. Because there is going to be no pressure. Now, granted, your open day opponent is not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be a day at the beach. Dealing with Will Macklin and Ryan Lee is a 1-2 man punch. So just try and beat those 2 guys. All right, Will Macklin, 6 goals in. 6 goals in. I mean, he was a 1-man army. And it's hard to deal with guys like that. So the Philadelphia Wings are going to have their day full. And we're going to see what this defense is really made of on day 1.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of no pressure and over, shall we say, over adjusting here, but in the pick'ems, Mr. Bernard there is still kicking our butts. Well, I'm right behind him, but 5-1, not bad, Pat. Good start. I'm there at 4-2, and we have a 3-way tie. Mike, you're still above 500 technically. You're not below it.
Well, you remember how the Wings season started off right last year? They were real hot, and then the train fell off the tracks. That's where I can see this is where this collision course is going to happen.
Philly MO for you.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, so I'm not going to get too high right now. But no, I mean, again, getting back to the Colorado Mammoth and what to expect. Like I said, I think this defense is going to be tested right out the gates. They're going to have their hands full. Last year was a tough outing, and I hope this team is just going to put on a show for next Saturday. I'm counting it down. It's going to be exciting times. It's just, to me, I'm still trying to write down and trying to figure out who's going to step up, who's going to be that guy to step up and fill the Miss Jones' shoes, who's going to be that guy who's going to be Joe Russ and Terrence's right-hand man, partner in crime. Who's going to be that 1A primary shooter? I'm still trying to figure that out.
I'm thinking that the lower scoring the games are, the better chance Philadelphia has to pull it out. I liked the defense that I got to see in preseason. I think that there was some big steps taken, and it's a pretty big defense. Both goalies are healthy, so it looks good that way with Knott and Damoud. If they get into shootouts, I get a little worried because they're a little thin on the scoring thing. However, if Brennan O'Neill becomes interested and decides to go to the next level and does not plateau, then you already have yourself your right-hand man with Joe Russ and Terrence. And things move forward from there because now you have 2 big threats on both sides to guard. And that opens things up quite a bit for some of the others of the Phil Caputos and things like that, as well as a good transition game and very quick and very big. So they're not going to be bumped and moved from center either. So if they're deciding to go, they're going to put a little bit of panic into the opposing team's defense, which could, again, I always love transition because it puts the other team into a disheveled mood, which means that they jump early, which means when refs are looking for it, they get the too many men calls a lot. And that puts Philadelphia on a power play, and which is now in their realm. That changes the whole outcome of the game.
Two things will stand out by then there, Gary. One, Dylan Ward is going to be the X factor for Colorado.
Yeah.
And again, I mentioned about the defense getting tested at the floodgates. So will this offense dealing with Dylan Ward between the pipes for Colorado. And number two, the big question is, and we talked about Brandon O'Neill, whether he's going to elevate his game. Will Michael Sowers be able to transition his game from the PLL over to NLL completely? Because I still think there's parts of his game that show you that he's used to the field game instead of the inbox where he can't hide, where the bigger, the stronger defenders will come. And I've seen they waffle him at times last year, welcoming him to the NLL.
Let's go on the other aspect of it, though. Do you think that maybe Michael Sowers and Brennan O'Neill can figure out something together that can use their field experience and blueprint some plays that can get them open, that one can feed the other as though it were PLL, and all of a sudden you have a new weapon that's really not seen that much in box lacrosse. And kind
True.
of open.
That if they can open up each other's, if they both could step up and bring what they've got from the PLL and bring it to the NLL doorstep, we both know that both those guys can play. They are pretty much the heart and soul of the Outlaws and the Water Dogs. But if they could both play to that level and bring it here, and then you can get Blaze Reardon playing like he used to play, being a beast and being aggressive down low, and Joe Resiterance hanging off that face-off circle where he likes to shoot at. Like I said, the sky's the limit. And with this team, on paper, not going to be elevated as a contender with no pressure on them, they're the most dangerous animal in the room. And that could be a scary thing for this team in a good way. They can surprise a lot of teams. They're not on everyone's radar right now. Everyone's got Buffalo, everyone's got the Colorados, everyone's got all those other teams on their radars. The Philadelphia Wings are not on no one's radar, which can surprise.
Calgary is in the same boat, and Shawn can attest to this by being at the game. That when you wrote them off as 5 goals heading into the second half, they put together one heck of a second half to really almost leave a spot on the seat for Saskatchewan, who almost had a skid mark or two along the floor there as this was going off the rail, and they were able to pull it back together again in time before the hairpin turn. But nonetheless, when you have no pressure, it's easy to turn it around because nobody's gripping sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Where other teams that are supposed to be doing well.
Hey,
Brian, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
My guy. I think that was a lot of the problem, too, last year. Nick Demude didn't have such a great start. The defense in front of him, we've banged that drum all year round. It wasn't that great. And what caused the offense to be over-aggressive and miss a lot of their goals. I think if you get Deacon Knott right at the floodgates, between the pipes for the Wings, with a bunch of new faces for them being completely unrecognizable, and there's no film on those guys. Guys like Bo Columbus is going to be able to help out on that end, that aspect of the field. Like I said, the sky's the limit for this team. And then you just work out, and we're going to have to see how the face-off circle is going to work out for the Wings. Because it's still hurting without Travis Batiste still being there, and we've moved on from Travis Batiste 2 years now, and they're still hurting at that position.
Right. Like I say, looking at it with Chris Corbeil in there and still being healthy, Eric Fennell is going to be a big piece to this thing because he's 2/3 crazy, I think. And
That's all right. He'll be
when he
light.
works into the Philadelphia Blueprint, right? But they'll love him there. Don't worry.
Yeah, he sounds like my kind of guy already.
Well, he was frothing at the mouth in preseason, and that was only during the anthems. So that was interesting.
Nice.
Ironically, it was Deacon Knott's dad that was beside me, so I was like, "Did you know him?" But you know, there's a few things in there, and when they get fully healthy, don't forget Alex Pace also.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces in here. Liam Patton in transition. He looked good in preseason. He will look good during the season as well, and I'm sure that they have some plans for him. Sam Leclerc, another one that's going to be a big piece and a big idea in this. Isaiah Davis-Allen has come full circle and looks to be in that realm now of taking things. But Bo Columbus is in there also to take faceoffs. So it's not on one guy if it doesn't work one way. You have Brian Cameron, who's got a howitzer for his shot. Big guy. So again, another one that they're not going to be able to move off of what he's doing. You know, he's 6'3", 6'4", 212. So you're not going to be able to move him around too easily. You know, Caputo's 6'3", 200. Again, another one that's not going to, you know, Columbus is 6'2". Corbeil, you know, is 6'2". You know, that's a big team. Davis Allen's 6'2". Fennell is 6'2". It's a big team, man.
Yeah, it's a huge. Listen, Paul Day has built the Monstars from Space Jam. I mean, he's got some monsters out there. They're kind of trying to play
Scott Dominy too. At some point, he's coming back.
Yeah, that's true.
And when he comes back, you know, he didn't earn the name The Flash for nothing.
No, and he likes to scrap. He doesn't mind throwing the gloves once in a while.
Not at all.
I was going to say, yeah, he has a mean streak that he can use if he needs it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's nasty. I mean,
as a scorer, he's a hell of a scorer because he was an attack man up in Nipissing. So he knows how to score very easily. So as well as play defense, as well as being mean. So
yeah, and look, I also want to see Scott. Listen, I want to see Knott too get the nod, but we'll see what happens, and I'm pretty sure he will. Like I said, it's going to be an interesting time to see how this team translates and takes on Colorado. Like I said, it's going to be a tall order out the gate on both sides of the ball, and I'm just excited to get down there. We're 6 days away. I can't.
And we want to get mean. We also remember they just signed Dustin Burkhoff, correct?
Yes.
6'3", 215, and a mean streak, and he can scrap with the best of them. So, if you need meanness and you need somebody to say, "Oh, he can also score the odd goal," but it's going to be punishing to come in on the wings this year. It's not just I'm coming in and I'm taking what I need and that's it. You know, there are a lot of that people aren't paying much attention to, and again, when you don't have any pressure. These guys will be able to operate and do their thing. Now,
go ahead.
And
think about what you just said too, Gary. Like Paul Day has aligned himself an army of big buys, monstars, all that stuff. I mean, we're getting back what the Philadelphia Wings used to be. We're used to coming to the vet, and you didn't come in just to get a cheesesteak if you're the visiting team. You're going to lose some teeth on the way out of there. And that's what it seems like the Wings are going to be. The Wings are going to be your new
more in the style of Ian Rubel. That's the way he played.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more designed for him and his coaching ability. And now you put in, again, Pat McCready on defense as a coach, and here you go. And the rest of it, shall we say, is history. So
yeah, and that Burkhoff sign. I mean, I don't think Philly's had a guy like that since Chet Konechny. So.
No, I was going to say, what we've been saying all these years has been the problem with their defense is they've been pushed around. Well, they ain't getting pushed around this year. There's no way.
No, and I don't think they're going to be. And if they got the speed to match it, That's going to be incredible because you're not going to be able, if you're the opposing defense or if you're the opposing offense in that offensive zone, you're not going to be able to create separation like you used to. They're going to be on you like flies on poop.
Don't forget, you also have Tracy Koleski as your offensive coach. That's no slouch. That's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. It's how creative they're going to be, if they're going to be on top of their loose balls, all that stuff. Just the fundamental mistakes that they've been making from a couple of years now. As long as they get on top of it and capitalize, it should be a fun season. It should be a extremely fun season. I mean, but again, tall order because after this, you go you go on the Christmas break, and then you got to go right into Oshawa. So it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be fun to watch because you got Jeff Teat going to be waiting for you, and he's no treat.
Well, so after Oshawa, you have Rochester, so that's another not easy game in Rochester for their home opener.
Yes.
Barring any silly weather, I plan on being there. So
nice. It's like I said, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see the season get started. We are 6 days away, and I'm cheesing. I'm ready to go.
Well, being at a 1:00 game. The Philadelphia special.
Yes.
You have enough time after that game to go and catch the Buffalo game or the Toronto game. You almost a whole slew of them for us. Georgia.
Yes.
And then you could do Vancouver. Look at that, man. It'd be a trifecta for you.
It's right at the Xfinity line.
That's a lot of cheesesteak, man. That's a lot of cheesesteak.
I could go for a cheesesteak right now.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Yes. So it's going to be a good time. Like I said, it's the crowd's already. The theme of the night. It's an all-you-can-eat. Speaking of, when we're talking about cheesesteak, it's an all-you-can-eat. So that is a thing. That's their theme of the night. I don't know what that means, but I can't wait to be there myself, covering it. Can't wait to see what's on the menu. So, but like I said, no expectations on this team. Paul Day will have this thing ready, rock and roll. Rubel, this is going to be year 2. This is going to be his sophomore year. I'll kind of figure out what he really is. Again, last year didn't know. There was a couple of mistakes. Hopefully he's learned from whatever he kind of dialed up with this squad he has now. So Gary, you say you got to see a little bit. You got a little bit of a taste of this team. Pats all the way. Pats all the way. Gino's not even on the radar, but
I like Sonny's myself, to tell you the truth. It's up on Market Street. I have their T-shirt. It's a great one.
Yeah. So it's like I said, year 2, Ian Rubel got to see what we'll see what his playbook looks like. Some new toys he's got manufactured in his room. So we'll see what happens. It's a good time.
Brian doesn't want either.
He's probably Del Salvador.
Brian's going to Campos. Don't worry. He's in around. He's sitting in Citizens Bank and going to Campos.
Yeah. He knows. He will probably goes to Del Sandra's, Joe's. I know where he probably hangs out.
Oh, he's going to Jim's. He's going down to South Street. There you go.
There you go.
Those are gyms, yeah.
Well, the new and improved gyms, of course. The old one went down in flames a few years ago.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So we can't wait to get it going. The Wings Nest will be ready to rock and roll. And all that stuff.
Excellent. Well, look forward to getting your report next week. And definitely it is going to be, look at that, man. Buffalo wings are better. Here we go. Well, we're going to have a wing steak off, I think. I'm going to get a big table because, there's a lot of us with big appetites.
A buffalo wing comes with a lot of pride anymore. It has a lot of riches anymore.
You put a pound of butter in there for the buffalo sauce. You're all set. But hey, what can we say? But yeah, I'm looking forward to it next week, Pat, where you can give us the skinny about what happened and why. And looking forward to that. Looking also forward to seeing what the reaction is in Wells Fargo for the game. So Philly faithful are all about this team now.
Yeah, listen, like I said, 6 days to go. I'm foaming at the bits to get through the work week and get down to the game come Saturday.
Awesome. Well, Pat, as always, appreciate it. Sitting atop the leaders board here, he's
one lucky banana.
6 games this week, though. That should be the telltale.
Yeah. If I gotta start interviewing
7, actually.
players,
7.
what you guys?
Seven.
Yeah, every team's in action this week. So
So what you guys are telling me when I start interviewing players, I gotta go like this now to everybody.
Pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I think they put 1 or 2 at 5'11" just so they can make you feel a little bit you're not in the trees.
A little nicer.
I remember. It was nice to talk to Take It, Tony, because I was like this, but now everyone else is like,
Yeah. 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 Well, now you just have to hold it up and hope for the best. Because it gets down.
All right, guys, enjoy your night. I'll catch you guys this Saturday.
Absolutely. All right, Pat. Take care.
See you guys.
Thanks, Pat.
All right, fellas. Enjoy your night. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. That was Pat Bernard with his, of course, Wings Nest report. And next week we're doing it for real with a game that the Wings actually play, which is nice. Just before we get into the NLL games, we had ALL. And, of course, they had their first ALL East. It was face-off weekend, in which we had 4 big games going on. Thursday, Friday, and a couple on Saturday. And really some strange results, guys. Mike, you sitting for this one? Oswego takes Six Nations, beats them 18-11.
wow, okay.
That was enough to make me go,
Yep.
We had one that didn't really surprise me, and that was Brampton beating Toronto 13-8. The surprise in that game, of course, is that Toronto only got 8 goals. But, hey. Now, here's where, this one was a slobber knocker. Paris beats Oshawa in Oshawa 18-16. And the one that got me scratching my head the most, that's correct, Peterborough
Wow.
took Whitby to the woodshed and beat them 15-9. So this could be an interesting year all around if this is the way it's going to play out. And the powers that be are not the powers that be. Now, granted, it is week 1, and, power ranking wise, we don't have much to go on with it. However, as it stands right now, Brampton is sitting number 1. Oswego is sitting number 2. I didn't think I would say that for a while. Peterborough sitting at number 3. Paris at number 4. Oshawa 5. Toronto 6. Whitby number 7. And Six Nations at 8. I know that this will change probably as early as next week. However, just taking a look at the initial things and after all the little moves and drafts and things like that, and you knew that Peterborough was on the cusp of something really good. And, well, hey, they've proved that. Also, Oswego, with, of course, friend of the show, Eddie Renault, having a decent night, and a few others that came through for them. Guys that I was watching in Senior B in the summer, and they're all coming to fruition here. So this could be a very interesting year. If you are anywhere in the neighborhood of Oshawa, of Peterborough, of the track of Six Nations, have a look, even Brampton for Memorial Arena. You want to get out there. I think tickets are as low as $10. You got a lot of NLL talent in there that should be on squads, but aren't. So you're going to see some terrific things. A pair of my guests for next Thursday's show on NLL Lacrosse Talk, guys, Devin and Parker Pfeiffer will be on the show. And, of course, they have, for a number of years, been lighting it up in ALL, as well as also with the Gales with the Tel Aviv team in Prague, and, of course, with the Brooklyn Merchants in Senior B. So it's going to be an interesting interview with the two of them talking about all kinds of different things going on. So if you're available Thursday at 4 p.m., Frank and I will be, it's 7 p.m. Due to some work stuff that I think is Parker can't get back in time. But at 7 p.m. on Thursday, have a look at the show. Should be an interesting one. All right, that brings us over to NLL, guys. And, of course, we had 2 games only. Friday night, we had Halifax and Oshawa. Now, we've already alluded to that score of 11-2. Warren Hill, of course, joining Elite Company with just a 2-goal given up. And, wow. And it looked to be a lot closer than what the score was telling us. It was 2-2 after one, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2-2 after one and 5-2 at the half. And
Well, that was the end of it. With a minute 40 left in the first, and that was the end of the scoring for Oshawa. That was it.
Yeah, so they
for well, it's a futility record for not scoring in 46 and a half minutes.
Yeah, a lengthy drought for sure. Ty Kurt's getting those 2 goals for Oshawa. He scored early to get them up 1-0.
Nice.
Then scored again after Terefenko equalized for a 2-1 lead, and that's when everything
Eduardo
went
wanted
south.
to find
Eduardo.
snow. How's your snow experience, Eduardo? I watched the Bengals game for a bit today, and there's a lot of snow there. So, sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, so not much to talk of, obviously, for the scoring for Oshawa. Dyson Williams had an assist on each of Kurtz's goals. Ethan Walker had an assist. I do want to go on a slight rant here. I hope there are some media personalities tuning in. Maybe Teddy Jenner, Pat Gregoire, Steven Stamp, Jake Elliott. Nick Tchaikovsky, 11 loose balls, 2 caused turnovers. Can you guys start, please, to get this guy's name circulating around for potential Defensive Player of the Year? First goal in Oshawa history. He's just already making his mark 2 games in, despite the 500 record. Let's get the campaign going to get him in. Sorry, Gary. I'm tired of seeing all these Toronto Rock players always nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. Hosix, you guys have had enough.
I was going to say Hosik last year.
Sorry.
Last year.
Yeah. Can we get some kind of online petition going to get Nick Tchaikovsky?
Right.
Because come on. Another Nipissing alum, and they're on the rise. Just made their first Big Attaway Cup final.
Absolutely.
But rant over. The only one who might outshine Tchaikovsky, Will Johansson, 9 loose balls and 5 caused turnovers in the game. Maybe the steal of the draft. Caden mentioned it, a couple of weeks ago. Jackson Fridge, he had 5 loose balls and 3 caused turnovers in the game. So,
well, Withers was on fire also in this thing with 15 of 17 faceoffs. But the stat that I want to address here is it doesn't matter what side of the border that this team is on. Their power play is terrible. 1 for 7, also giving up a shorthanded goal, is not going to win you any games.
Definitely not. But I think hidden within that, you have to look at 3 of their power plays. They handcuffed themselves by taking a penalty on their power play, basically evening the floor again.
That's something we watched Molosky talk about with Vancouver last week, and he was unhappy with that one, so they copied this now.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like to some degree, roles got a little bit reversed Friday night. We've talked so much about Halifax has the talent. They're ready to take the next step. They finally won a playoff game, but
they still took 7.
There's always
still
that.
Took 7 penalties.
They took 7 penalties still.
I was going to say, as a team like Halifax, they're going to take those penalties, especially 7. You need to capitalize, and that's exactly what Oshawa did not do. They did not capitalize. They took penalties to shorten those power plays. I mean, if you want to beat Halifax, you have to capitalize because they're going to take penalties.
So what happens if you're taking those penalties against Vegas? You're taking those penalties against Buffalo. You're
it's gonna be a long
watching
night.
your score. That's a whole different game, especially if it's 2-2 and you're taking these penalties. All of a sudden, you're down 5-2, not up 5-2.
Yeah, and I mean Halifax, they did a little bit of capitalizing themselves. I mean, they went 2 for 6 on the power play, but But it's just I think it's worth noting that with there's still that question with Halifax. Can they play just a little bit more disciplined? Can they just get on the other side of that edge where they're not taking unnecessary penalties?
Ironically, 4 of those minutes were Graham Hossack, and he's usually more disciplined than that. It's not him that's usually taking the penalties. So strange things were happening all around. Alex Simmons took 4 minutes for Oshawa. Again, another guy who you don't usually see sitting in the box, especially when push comes to shove. Mind you, he had 16 shots still in the game. So he was still instrumental in whatever offense they had.
Yeah, and Oshawa had good looks throughout the second half. But
Hill played out of his mind.
Yeah, Warren Hill was up to the task, and 49 saves. So that certainly was no day at the park.
And we saw some Trevor Kidd in this game.
Andrew Kidd. Sorry,
Andrew Kidd.
The last, he played close to 5 minutes near the end. So, but I think at that point when it was 8-2, absolutely, Utica Yeti. I mean, I think just the question with Hill is, just the past few seasons that he'll get into a little bit of a rut, and he'll have a stretch of some not so great games. Obviously if he can limit that,
I'm pretty convinced that the backup there is a starter goalie too, in Drew Hutchison. So, and if even that fails, you have Justin Getty around the corner, right? So
and they are carrying all 3 goalies on the active roster right now.
So I think they're onto something here, and they look good. And Randy Stotts looked very good in this game. For a guy we didn't even think was going to be playing in this part of the season, he looked exceptional.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth noting. I don't believe they had Duncan Thompson or Trevor Smith.
Nope, neither of them. Nope.
So, those are 2 key cogs in their lineup as well. So.
Absolutely. But it's exactly. Hill's been a question the last few years. That's where Hutchison has stepped in. But if Hill is and Hill didn't have to play near as much this summer. Jameson did a lot of the work there too over in Six Nations. So interestingly enough, Hill looks semi-refreshed playing here. And even in he's such a modest guy. And when I interviewed him, he's just almost giddy with what's going on. And you saw that in his post-game interview there, where it's just, pass it off to the team, and the team is this and the team is that. And, and off he's just looking to go get into the picture with the team. So very unassuming, which is refreshing, very refreshing in a pro athlete. But look out. Halifax is actually doing what we thought they would be doing. And that could get very scary.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, the only bit of bad news for them, Thomas Hogarth got injured. He was seen on crutches.
Yep.
So, hopefully a speedy recovery for him.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our second game of the weekend. And this one was a little bit more, shall we say, non-cut and dry. We thought it was going the way of the Halifax game, but Shawn, what happened?
Yeah, really a tale of
final, but that's 2 empty net goals at the end.
Yeah, really a tale of 2 halves. And we're talking about milestones. I just want to touch on this real quick as well. Tanner Cook, 100th career goal, as well as for Calgary, Noah Manning and Kyle Pepper had their first career goals. But this is the one that gets me and really talks volumes of Robert Church. Franchise leader now for games played in Rush uniform, 184 games. 34 with Edmonton, 150 with Saskatchewan, and he puts up 4 goals. So I mean, he still gets it done. He's still, a stalwart in that offense after 184 games in that uniform. But like I said, tale of 2 halves. I mean, Saskatchewan kind of really left off where they began last season, left off from where they were last season in the first half, and it was clear they were going to be dominant. And to me, at least, I saw a Calgary team that just, at least on offense, looked very out of sync. There was a lot of balls that ended up on the carpet, a lot of kind of errant passes or passes where, you know, he thought a guy was going to be and it just goes off into the corner and just kind of just off. So at the half, it was 10-5 for Saskatchewan. But then I don't know what was said in that halftime. But I should mention, too, Cam McLeod came in to finish off the first half, relieving Aiden Walsh after he gave up 7 goals on 17 shots. But Aiden Walsh came back in the second half, and I think maybe that sitting helped out a lot too, because he looked a lot more steady in net, was making those saves that he needed to. And I don't know, maybe it's just the green-colored glasses, but I felt like, you know, the Rush defense just kind of stopped moving their legs. And honestly, you know, we talked to Jake Boudreau after the game, and he said, you know what, our defense just needed to be better in that second half. We just weren't playing to our standard in that second half. And especially in the fourth quarter, they got Calgary got 4 quick goals. Cook, Manning, who, by the way, you know, for a guy who said we had nothing new about him, I mean, he looked really good. I mean, a really athletic guy, really fast. He is going to cause some problems this year. Tyler Pace, another one by Cook, really within a span of about 4 minutes, you had those 4 goals, and we're tied 13-13. And he mentioned Zach Mans scores the game winner with about 5.5 minutes left, and then a couple of empty net goals by Mans and Messenger. But yeah, I think this is a Calgary team you can't really sleep on. If you do, they will punish you. It's just a matter of, you know, I think they're still working up that chemistry, and I think that's what we kind of saw in the first half. There was them not quite on the same page just yet. I think once they find that, they're going to be a tough team.
I swore that second last goal was Bell, not Mans, but anyway. I know what the NLL sheet says, but I'm pretty sure that there was a long dew of hair flopping around. But anyways, how long is Jake Naso out for?
You know what? I haven't heard.
Huge.
Nobody's really kind of heard much about what's because he was listed as questionable. So my hopes is he's close, in that he was questionable. Because with Calgary going 26 of 33, and I mean, to be fair, I mean, you're going up against Justin Inacio. I mean, he's no slouch himself.
Not at all.
Unfortunately, when your key guy is out, I mean, if Nasso was probably in there, you're probably more of a 50-50 shot there. And again, even Mester's not much of a slouch, but I mean, he's probably more best to just be on defense and let him kind of do his thing. And I saw him take some draws. I saw Accioni take a few draws as well. I'm sure there's somebody else who took a couple draws also.
Well, Inacio finished the game with 19 loose balls too, so that's a big game. So there are a lot of bright spots, and Toronto has Calgary next week, so be interesting. Both teams are needing a win early in this thing. Interesting. But Saskatchewan comes away with a win, which is bottom line. Levi Birch, for his first game as a rookie, what does he look like?
Yeah, I didn't think he looked too terribly bad. You know, I didn't hear his name much. So for a defender, I guess, you know,
that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
That is a good thing.
Took one. I think, he took one penalty. But other than that, you know what? I was going to see if I can look up his stats real quick. He had, where is he? 1 assist, 2 penalty minutes, 3 loose balls, and 2 caused turnovers. So, I mean, we know for first time out.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah. Can't complain with that.
Again, the man of the hour still is Austin Shanks. 7 points in the game, 3 goals, 4 assists. Living up to the hype, really.
Yeah, like I said last year, he was kind of that missing piece I think that the Rush needed. And again, Ryan Keenan, 2 goals, 5 assists. Again, another kind of stalwart on that offense. And then you add in the Robert Churches, Zach Mans, 3 goals and 2 assists. He got the hat trick as well. Again, this is just a potent defense that we had, the offense that we saw last year.
Sure. We have a small clip of Zach Mans in the post-game press conference. Let's give a little listen.
The second half.
They picked up their intensity. They probably got reamed out at halftime, I assume, and they kind of came at us in that third quarter and the fourth, and we weathered the storm. But that's one of those things with a team like that. They're young and they'll push the pace for 60 minutes. You take them seriously.
First game back at home since game 2 of the finals. Just what was it like to hear the crowd and be back in Saskatoon playing games that matter again?
It's everything. All 28 guys in that room couldn't wait to be here for this day. So you kind of wait all summer, hoping to get out here, and it's nice that it's finally here and the season's starting. But that's the thing, like, season goes by so quick, so you got to enjoy it while it's going.
One of those guys, Robert Church, tonight sets the franchise record for games played in a Rush uniform. What have you learned the most out of Roberts in your time here in Saskatchewan?
I've learned a ton, man. He's a fantastic teammate. You know, before I got traded here a few years ago, I hated his guts because he just killed me in the WLA every summer. So he's an unbelievable scorer, and he's a great human being, and that's the type of guy that you want in your locker room. And he's one of the best goal scorers of all time. So anytime he tells you anything, you're gonna listen, and there's just so much respect in the room with him.
You know, when you have a guy like that who sets a record with longevity, it's not necessarily the stats, but for a guy who can play well and can play consistently in this league, how much respect does that get around the league and for a guy who has the amount of games played for this?
Tons. He's probably one of the most respected guys in the league. Not very many people put up that many points and put in that many games and win that many championships for a team, and we're still looking to win more for him.
Interesting. You know, the other thing is what we don't seem to really take notice of is slowly but slowly, this is becoming a veteran Rush team. You know, we like to think of them as just a young bunch of kids that are going at it, but, you know, you're looking at guys like Mike Messenger, even Bobby Kidd. Zach Mans has been 5-6 years in the league now. Jake Boudreau, of course, Robert Church, Austin Shanks. Yeah, the list goes on and on. That this is actually quite the veteran squad now. But you're sprinkling in Connor McClellan, but you're sprinkling in the youth like Levi Anderson, like Levi Birch, you know, Brock Haley in his second year, Matt Accioni. You know, these guys are coming into this group, but you know, into this veteran group, which are going to lead these guys. So you're not just trying to figure it out by yourself. You've got a veteran system in there, as well as having, of course, Quinlan and Keenan as your coaches to guide you. And that's a pretty good system for you to come into.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off that, because they didn't actually win the championship last year, I'm sure there's a lot of people saying, well, why are you staying pat with that, you know, roster that you have? And that's why, is because, in all intents and purposes, that's still a fairly young roster. I mean, what they missing piece that they need now is experience, and just to keep that core together. It had nothing to do with the talent level there. It's just a matter of experience. They got beat by a more experienced team in Buffalo. That's just what happened.
Well, they also went down to game 3, so it's not like they got their butts handed to them. It's not like they got wiped 2-0 and it was just disaster.
Yeah, that needs to be said over and over and over again. That championship series was about 2 quarters of play, the final 2 quarters of play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that was it. This wasn't, you know, a case of the Rush getting just absolutely trounced left and right by the Bandits. This came down to one bad half where nothing went Saskatchewan's way.
And sometimes when something like that happens, is because of experience, right?
Yep.
Buffalo's been there many times where you're seeing a Rush with very few championship experience. Now they've got that. Now we've kept that core together.
Looking back at, they had home floor advantage, and that came to a game that the teams played against one another that Buffalo edged. Saskatchewan in that game. That game ends the other way, and that's the other way around. They're at SaskTel for game number 3. And who knows? 19,000 screaming Bandits fans has a way of, being that seventh man. It has been for years now. If it was the seventh man in SaskTel with 15,000 the other way in a place that, I remember the days and my ears were ringing 3 days later of how loud it could get inside there. So there's all kinds of little things that what if, could have, should have, whatever. But, there's no shame in losing game 3 of a best 2 out of 3 at all. Now, looking ahead to this week is interesting. Mike, you said it, there's 7 games everybody's playing, but it's who's playing who, right? Saskatchewan's got Ottawa on Friday, and that, again, is, I don't think Ottawa gave us the best performance that they could have in their game 1. Saskatchewan looked pretty good for 3/4 of the 4 in this one, and I think that they're going to be shooting for 4 quarters. Colorado and Philadelphia, we know what we're getting with Colorado. Philadelphia still, it depends on who and what and how. And I think that's a big thing right there. Calgary and Toronto, we talked about that already. Both teams are looking for their first win. Neither team, especially after last year's showings, want to go 0-2. Toronto, especially in the brand new renovated TD Coliseum with all this new hieroglyphic and made for the performance, and it goes on and on and on. I've been watching ad after ad after ad, showing me Challen and Latrell on the new turf and blah, blah, blah. Here we go. So let's see if that, it's all in the turf, guys. It's all in the turf. Change the turf. That'll make it all better. Absolutely. Proponent of that one. Halifax into Buffalo. Now that's the one I am actually curious to see. And when I get home from the Toronto Calgary game, I will be watching the Buffalo Halifax game that I will have PBR'd, because that to me is could darn well be a final in the making from what I've watched early on.
That game will be see whether Halifax is a contender or pretender.
That is that's the litmus test in my eyes. That against them and against Vegas and against Vancouver, and seeing how they react against all of those things. But this is leg 1 of that idea. Oshawa against Georgia. Georgia, I don't think gave me anything near the performance that they could have against Buffalo, but we had some outside factors that we've talked about. Oshawa, which one? Game week 1, week 2, which team shows up? That's what I'm curious to see. And can they have an answer for an anemic power play? Vegas and Vancouver. This is the one, guys, on the West Coast. Yep. This is the litmus test for both of these teams on where they are so far. Granted, both teams need to gel and need to learn how to play with one another, but this is the early litmus test for both these teams. And we'll get the early leg up and come down to the end of the year. Amazing how much this might actually play into a playoff game and where it's at. And, of course, Rochester and San Diego, another one that has me, with my Spockian eyebrow up in the air, because I'm curious with everything that Rochester has done. We've already seen San Diego, and they look pretty good. Now, bring Rochester into San Diego on a Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is a 2 p.m. San Diego time game. Interesting. Do they go there on Friday and kind of sit back in the sun and try and get motivated? I would assume. But that's going to be a long trip out of there on a Sunday night. Monday morning. Odd time. Very odd time. I don't know a lot of things going on in Pechanga, so I'm not really sure why that's a Sunday and not a Saturday. But well, I know. Interesting slate of games, though, early on in the season on pitting teams that we're curious down the road how they're going to be. And how much does week 3 of the NLL play into after week 20 of the NLL and where our standings are? Mike?
Maybe not as much as the PLL, but it certainly seems like they took a page out of the PLL's playbook, because every week PLL, we had intriguing matchups this past summer. So,
And, we kind of eased our way in 4 games week 1, 2 games week 2. And here we go, bam. And this is the one. And this will give us a pretty good idea of where we're headed and how we're going to get there. Granted, it's not be all end all. And of course, things can happen from now through the season. But this is a real good indicator of which way teams should be going in the next couple of weeks. Do they need to add? Do they need to subtract? Do they need to change? Or do they stay paid and stand pat? Shawn, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like, it's hard to say, anyone kind of winning anything in week 3, but oh boy, it's definitely, like you said, it's going to be a litmus test and see where a lot of these teams stand.
Mm-hmm. Now, granted, nobody's looking for who's going to win a championship after week 3, but I think it's a pretty good indicator in which direction teams are going and whether they need to, pull a chute and go in a different direction, or whether they need to go and push the accelerator so they go to 150. It's in that realm there, because the next few weeks, remember, you have the following week is heading into the Christmas week. And then, bang, we're already talking about the new year. And before you know it, we're in week 5, week 6. And, if, that little snowball, right? It starts out this big. And by the time it hits the wall, you can't stop it.
Yeah. And it goes back to something we've been saying even before the preseason too, is it really shows the parity in this league, right?
Yep.
That anyone can really win on any night at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, CJ Kurst looked great in his first game. So did Owen Hiltz, for that matter. And again, we don't really talk about that for PLL, where both of them were playing there. And, they looked like they worked together quite well. Throw in for many years is right. For many years. And they're both signed long-term. So Jamie's no dummy. But like I say, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch too once they get really, and Challen Rogers coming out the front door full time is another big piece to that offense. Mark Matthews, Dan Craig, that we're not talking about too much. I don't think that anybody even noticed Corey Small not in the lineup. I don't think anybody's noticed Stephen Keogh hasn't been in the lineup for the last couple of years, correct? But I think the one thing that's going to stand out is that Josh Dawick doesn't get the point totals that he had last year because he's not going to see the ball near as much. He's going to be setting Chris Boucher up, and has been already. And I watched that in preseason as well. He seems to be the setup guy to Boucher behind the net. And if Boucher is feeling it like he has been so far, he's going to be a factor in all of this as well. That doesn't even talk about the transition game that really hasn't had a chance to grow legs. Mazuka, Jubenville, Latrell Harris, let alone Justin Martin. Those are 4 big pieces right there that are going to go in, as well as, the defense has always been bruising and hasn't changed all that much, and is still fairly bruising, led, of course, by Brad Cree. The only question is, do they have a scheme to cover up some of the weaker points of Nick Rose? Because Nick one-on-one is, Hall of Fame goalie, Hall of Fame numbers. But when you start getting to some of the stuff that the Bandits can do, and we've seen, do they have a plan in place? Staying out of the crease, of course, as we've discussed.
Just looking at their opponents in Calgary, I mean, this looks like a team we've underestimated. Like I'm just looking at the game just this past weekend. Hayden Dixon looked really good. Braden Maya looked fantastic. Tyler Pace looked really good.
Summer, right?
Yeah, Tanner Cook. I mean, you know what you're getting in him. Like I said, Noah Manning's starting to come into his own. There's a good core there that if, like you said, if you can't cover up, the issues that Rose has, Calgary could get
Getty, there's a stat out there. I think it was Adam Levi that brought that up to that. where Teat scores early, I think that the Ottawa's won 14 of their 70 games because that when he doesn't, they've won like 2. So everything runs through him, and that goes back to New York to Ottawa. So it's there has to be other aspects of it. It can't just be Teat. And it's funny because in the Brampton days of old, the junior days, with him and Peterson and a whole star-studded cast, he dished it off way more than he shot. Could he score at will? Yes. Can he still score at will? Yes. But he is as good a facilitator as anybody. Again, when Cordingley and I were talking, this is going back a number of years ago now, before COVID, talking about Teat when he was still a junior. It was the one that they were talking about of him being like Gretzky, where the game is it's slow. He can see it's develop slowly for him, where it's going a million miles a second for the rest of us. And he can just see it and feel it and know it, which is why you can never hit him flush, because he's always able to dodge and move and see it coming and be able to see the play develop, kind of a la Gretzky from behind the net. Same idea. So it's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of special that you see there. So just to take it in and enjoy it, because, those are few and far between to see you guys like that. Yeah, Rochester, I'm interested this week especially.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very, very big test against San Diego. And then the following week is in Rochester against Philadelphia. So that's going to be a huge test for both squads. More so, I think, for Philadelphia. But I think a Philadelphia big-time defense is really going to put a Rochester offense to the task. It's one thing if they can just, run free. But if you're going against a defense that is going to punish you every time you're close, that's going to be something, a different look, I think, than what they're going to see this week with San Diego. All right, let me put it this way, guys. What is your game of the week coming up this week? Mike, let's start with you.
I think I got to go with Halifax Buffalo. I mean, this is a chance for the Thunderbirds to they've already made a huge statement with their opening weekend. I mean, this would be the biggest early statement of the year if they can find a way to top the Bandits
in Banditland.
If we can get a repeat performance out of Warren Hill,
can you imagine if Hill's on and Vince is on? Wow, it'd be a 2-1 game. Set all kinds of records.
Yeah.
Shawn, what's your game of the week?
No, I was going to Halifax Buffalo, but I'll change it up a little bit, and I'll go Las Vegas Vancouver. I think these are 2 teams that really went out in free agency to revamp, and now we get to see what they're made of. We already saw what happened with Vancouver the first game. Can they figure that out? And again, we still have that question mark in Las Vegas about goaltending. Is it maybe going to be a little better now? Maybe they've improved some of their defense. Is it still going to be iffy? And can that keep up with the offense that we're seeing in Vancouver? But at the same point, with that Vancouver, are we seeing too many cooks in the kitchen in that offense? So I'm really interested to see how these 2 revamped teams show against each other.
Right. Me personally, it's Rochester, San Diego. I'm curious to see what Rochester can do. They look fantastic on paper. San Diego already, showed me quite a bit last week. Is Rochester as good as we think they are? And I think they are. And I'm curious, in San Diego, on a weird time, on a weird day, let's see what Rochester has to offer us. And I think that's going to be a heck of a game. But nonetheless, that shows us that just about every game this week are ones that are like, holy smokes, can't miss games. And that is something to say about the parity of the league. Now, granted, we're going to have a couple of games like the Halifax Oshawa game. That's not to take anything away from Oshawa. If we played again next week, I'm pretty sure that would be, a 10-6 game or a 10-8 game. For one way or the other, I'm not sure which. but it just happened to be 11-2, and Warren Hill played out of his mind. But those games are coming. But most of the games are going to be, holy smokes. It's throw darts at a board and hope for the best. Yeah. Who you got is going to be, oh my God, who am I supposed to take? Mind you, there were still guys that went 4-0 last week. And 2-0 this week, right? So I went 2-0. I didn't get the tie break, but I didn't expect that many goals in a Saskatchewan game. What you got in which one? Are we taking overall? A little early for that one still, I think. I got to see all the teams play first before I go, I'm on there. I have my thinks, but I still think that Vancouver is going to show me a lot more than they did. I still think that Vegas has to show me something on what they're doing. But I really like what Rochester has done. For the first time in a number of years, am I really excited about what Rochester's got, probably since the mid 2010s, when they were in the middle of three-peating. And they just look better and better each and every time out. We're in that realm now where it's exciting to be a Nighthawks fan again. Think about just a few short years ago when the franchise revamped after moving to Halifax, and they won one game in that first year. And now look at that team. So tell me Dan Carey isn't on top of his game and building and putting pieces and long-term, not, shortcuts. Well, Matt Vin, you're going to have to like him because Buffalo's going the way of him. If he's not playing well, Buffalo isn't playing well. If he's playing well, Buffalo's playing well. That's really the bottom line.
We saw that last year when he was hurt. Those are when they got their losses. Yep. But even people in Buffalo are saying, do we have the legs to go and get the 4-peat? Because, they're aware of the team getting older over the summer. They're aware of everybody having to put in here to make sure that it happens. So, yeah, it's all fine and good to say, we're good, we know. Yeah, every other team got better too. Big time. And let's face it, that first game against Georgia, they didn't look invincible.
No.
They looked
there
very
were a lot of
beatable.
controversial moments too.
Yeah.
No, they looked like they were at times, looking for it and other times feeling it. It's consistency which wins them championships and has been their big thing, is stay the course and then that big run comes. If the big run isn't coming, they don't usually fare as well. All right, let's leave it there for this week. Remember, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Thread. You can find us on YouTube, as well as on www.streampunkentertainment.com. Remember to come see us 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day because the news is always changing and we have our thumbs on the pulse of the situation, always getting you the accurate information as quick and humanly possible so that you know exactly what's going on. We are your Costco of lacrosse. We are your one-stop shop for everything you need lacrosse. That brings us to last words. Shawn, last words to you.
I guess first it was excellent being back at SaskTel Center this week. Right back at it. So much fun. And I just can't wait for this next week. Like you mentioned, was the game of the week. And honestly, you could pick any one of those games. You really could. So we're really looking forward to that.
Excellent. Mike, last words to you.
Yeah, I'm just excited that every team's going to be in action next week. So I think it's going to be good to see the teams that haven't had a chance to get on the floor for their first tilt of the year yet, and to see how some of these teams that have been on the floor for a week or two.
And if anybody of the goodness of their heart in Las Vegas wants to send me a Chase Fraser bobblehead, I'm happy to accept. DM me. For one of those Chase Fraser or the Vegas ugly sweaters. Not too ugly. Anyways, I can't wait to see the new TD Coliseum in Hamilton and all the renovations and revampedness of everything and the world-class thing. Because Paul McCartney, I believe, is playing or has played, and Andre Bocelli is playing or has played or whatever. And now the real one's coming. The Rock are coming to town. I got a chance to see a sneak peek of the Rock, obviously playing in Oshawa, which was fun. But let's see in the barn here. I'm curious also to see the attendance because of Oshawa and see if it's up, down, or sideways and where we're going from there. All right. That'll do us for another week. As always, we appreciate your patronage week in and week out. We appreciate all the comments. We appreciate all the love. And I love seeing everybody in all the arenas all over the place. And it is such a pleasure to chat with everybody when we have a chance to see you. So for Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, Muffler Mike in Connecticut, I am Gary Groob wishing you the best of weeks. Remember, keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher. And until we meet again next week, have a great week, everybody.